Hello, this is a brief comparison between some restored and reconditioned German upright pianos we have. This is a Steinway made in 1909 and this Steinway made in 1898. This Grotrian Steinway made in 1922, just about to go into our polishing room. Another Grotrian Steinway, this one was made in 1893, which is surprising because the logo I'd normally associate with 1920s Grotrian Steinways. We'll also look at this Lipp and Kaps, which is one of my favourite makes as well. And this Richard Lipp. I always had Richard Lipp grand pianos in my house for many, many years, for about 25 years before changing to now I've got clients' pianos instead. Now I'll start off this Grotrian Steinway 1922, which the polisher wants to take in today, so I'm making this video before it goes in there. Grotrian Steinways always repolished beautifully, and there's other examples if you look on our YouTube channel. This one has the double music desk, a choice of music desk, one, the swing out one, and also the lower one. The swing out one's the same height as the grand. That's ideal. I prefer that. Here's a Blutner grand, but this is the same height of music desk. Just ideal for normal viewing. And this obviously grand piano slide, so it's very useful. You can alter the focal length on the grand piano music desk. Now, if you look inside this Grotrian Steinway, you'll see that we've fully restored the whole piano. It's got a new rest plank as well. That's the plank behind the tuning pins. So that's why we decided to take it on, because we won't always fully restore all our upright pianos. It's too expensive. But Grotrian Steinways certainly worth doing, and you can see new dampers and hammers as well. And you always get a beautiful, rich tone on Grotrians. I'm always a bit concerned when we redo them that it's not going to lose the original quality, but in this case it certainly hasn't. In fact, I think it's been enhanced with new hammers and new strings, though the originals are extremely good as well. It has that typical Grotrian tone for wonderful upright Grotrians are, and the touch is it's slightly lighter than a concert touch, which is ideal for domestic playing. Very rich bass. Original ivory keys as well. Now the other Grotrian Steinway's a bit of a surprise in the sense that, as I say, the logo here looks like the younger 20s Grotrian Steinways, but this piano is apparently 1898. It also has 88 keys. The other Grotrian only had 85 keys, which is very, very common in Grotrians. Much less common to get an 88 key Grotrian. This Grotrian's also had a new rest plank. That's why we fully restored it, because the rest plank was a bit weak. And as you can, these are marking A for when they're chipped up before they put the action in the piano to tune it. And the tone of this piano, you can see it's been fully restored as well. It's different. It's a kind of like it's a taller piano, so it's got a slightly bigger sound. It has a different resonance to it. Let's see if you can tell the difference. So that's a chord of arpeggio of C. And this is the later Grotrian here. Much more typical of what you expect in Grotrians, because this age of Grotrian, 1920s, is the common one. So going back to the older one. It's a very pleasant sound, just very different, perhaps a bit plainer. Hasn't got the sort of characteristic that you associate with Grotrians. It's more like a typically good German piano. Very well constructed, slightly different as you can see. This is an older piano and has a wooden bridge here. That's no problem, it's so well made that it's just as stable. See, this is what you expect on a bridge on a piano normally, is metal bridge with pins here. But as I say, the older one's just as well made. Both pianos are extensively restored. As you can see, soundboards in perfect condition here, bridges capped. If necessary, we recap the bridges to give it more down bearing, and if there's any cracks in them as well. That was the 20s one. This is the turn of the century piano. So just very similar, as you can see, in terms of the work that's been done on the piano. So how does that compare to the Steinways? This is the older Steinway, 1898, similar age to the older Grotrian. This is ivory keys. The older Grotrian, in fact, both of them have, they both are ivory keys, I beg your pardon. So all the pianos we're looking at have ivory keys today. The Richard Lipp doesn't have ivory keys either. They needed replacing, so these are very high quality sort of modern key tops. Now the Steinway has the swing type music stand, and even the music stand is made of tremendous rosewood. Now this Steinway is less expensive because it needs polishing. As you can see, it's been kept open, and this is very dark here, huge colour contrast there. We've recently repolished one like this. I'm going to show you in a second. Now this is a very similar piano, about 4 years younger, that we've repolished. You can see how beautiful the rosewood is there. This is boxwood inlay, by the way, so is the other one, and it just comes out so beautifully. There's the front and the top lid. Rosewood is always extremely stunning. Our polishing is done with about 30 coats of French polish. Of course, we prepare it before that. It's a long job in an upright, sort of about 50 hours work. And then after having polished it, we rub it down in antique waxing. Otherwise, it's too shiny. You don't see the grain properly. While we're looking at casework, this was the other Steinway, and it's a plainer looking, it is a rosewood, but it's a plainer looking rosewood, as you can see. Same swing style music desk, and actually underneath this rather plain polish it's got on us at the moment, very pleasant, is definitely hiding a very contrasting grain, and that'll show if it was repolished. On the side here again, the grain, we could get much more contrast on that if we refinished it with a view to getting the maximum contrast in the grain. Looking inside the 1898 Steinway here, you can see we haven't refinished the whole piano. The tuning block was good. Usually is on Steinways. You rarely get problems with that, and it's been restrung, not by us previously, so slightly larger tuning pins, but very tight. So that's the key factor. And also the hammers are hardly worn here, so we've been able to get a beautiful tone out of it by just refacing and voicing the hammers. Probably voice them a bit more still. But a lush tone right through to the bass. So that's really no need to redo that. Having said that, we do fully restore Steinways as well. This is a black one, a couple of years younger, 1900, and as you can see, that has been fully restored and is immaculate. And it causes it to sound different from what it would originally. If you fully restore, you won't have the original sound of the Steinway, but it's very beautiful. Action is very good too. Slightly tighter to start with because everything's been renewed on it, but very beautiful tone. And this is the 1909 Steinway, the other Steinway, and it's also not been fully restored by us, as you can see again. Tuning pins are tight. We had to raise this a lot because it hadn't been played for an awfully long time. So we also had a little bit more regulation and things to do on it. That string there has been replaced. You can see both of those strings. It's a good idea when replacing to replace the two. Sometimes we get them both made, and if the new one sounds the same as the old one, then we don't need to replace both. But very often you do need to replace both. And there's a very good replacement, not by us, previously done, but sounds almost identical to the ones next to it. So this doesn't need fully restoring either. So if we can get them not needing that, obviously it cuts the cost down. The fully restored Steinway, as you'll see on our website, is much dearer. Well, this one, I'm very impressed with the tone of it. The action is also very, very responsive. Now briefly, the other two pianos I mentioned, the Kaps, I'm particularly keen on Kaps for the inlay they have. They seem to have just one style of upright piano that's in the UK, and that is this style, which is 130 centimetres tall, and all of a similar age. This is 1898. They go through to I think about 1915 or so, the ones that you find in the UK. As you can see, we've put new hammers and felts, and also restrung this one, done a lot of work on it. These are Renner hammers. We choose Renner or Rabel hammers, but Renner are a bit harder, require a bit more work, but you can get the same response out of both makes of hammer. Just showing you that this is what we call a Langer style of action instead of a Schwander. There's this extra piece here. I'm mentioning that because there are two styles of caps. One has the higher quality one, and the other one doesn't have this piece. It's just the jacks straight onto the lever here. So is that important? Well, sorry, the whip and not the lever. That's important in the sense that you get a better touch on this style. So I tend to go for the style of caps that has this style. It has a very rich, warm sound throughout, beautiful bass, and a very even tone, so I can really recommend it. This, as I say, this model of Kaps, it seems to only have one model of upright that comes into the UK, and they're pretty consistently good pianos. And last of all, this Richard Lipp, the most unusual of all the pianos. As I mentioned, we've replaced the key tops on this one. Unusual particularly because it's dated according to serial number 1906, but the style of this piano is anything but 1906. I would put it earlier, perhaps 1890s really, for this style, this type of what we call three-quarter plate. Definitely doesn't date it to 1906, so not quite sure why that is, but extraordinarily though, you can see the angle of these strings, much greater angle than most. Let's have a look at another piano to compare it with. Here's the Steinway next to it, or the Grotrian Steinway. I'll look back at the Lipp and see the angle there. There's a tremendously rich bass, very, very long bass strings. Extremely long bass strings, extremely good bass. Now, these strings go right into the side here, and I really don't know how tuners have managed with this. We actually carved out, we're going to just finish this off a bit better, the side here in order to get the tuning lever in. And we've also supplying this tuning lever with the Richard Lipp. This tuning lever goes with the Lipp because I don't know how they managed to tune it without this kind of very short lever. So a bit eccentric. On Lipp, along with many of the top makes, and Blüthner's probably the nearest example of what we call eccentric, in the sense that they tried very innovative and tried different things. But listen to the tone of that, it's very, very smooth. This is the third time the piano's been back in. We sold it originally in 2004. There's actually our original code there, RP224 is 2004. Then we sold it again about 6 months ago, and the client who bought it at that time is one of our piano buyers who's bought about 10 or 11 pianos or more from us. Used to change his piano every year, and now doesn't need a piano anymore, has moved to a smaller house. But this was his last piano, and he's stuck with it. It's a beautiful sound. It's just very, very resonant. You get a lot of echo on the bass with the very resonant piano, especially with, if you're going to go for strings of that angle, you end up with resonance. You can hear it there. All these top German pianos tend to have a bit of resonance, but that's less than the Lipp. So that's some thoughts about the restored and reconditioned German uprights that we have in stock. Surprisingly, no Bechsteins. Normally we've got Bechsteins, which are the most common of the older German pianos, of the good quality ones. I'm back to this Grotrian that we started with. It's going to be polished. Which of these pianos do I prefer? It's a very good question. They're all got something special about them. I love Richard Lipp. Kaps is perhaps not renowned as such a high quality maker, but that particular Kaps, they've got it so well done. I really, really like them. I think you'd really enjoy a Kaps. So, in summary, I think this Grotrian, I suppose, because I'm always looking for these. We also have in our stock at the moment a totally original one that's hardly been used, of the same sort of age. There's just something very special about them. The tone just has something, it's like I'm sure if you're a wine expert, it'll be like a very fine wine, which really be a bit lost on me, but certainly a fine piano I really appreciate. If you're a tuner, I think you'll agree with me. Grotrians are very special. Steinways too, so really all the pianos we've looked at have got something special about them. I was a bit worried about fully restoring this one because the Grotrian choose so well their strings and hammers that just to get as good as they did, and I think maybe we've lost a little because you can't copy the original manufacturer 100%. I forgot to mention about this Grotrian. If you've been observant, you might have noticed that it only has 2 out of 3 strings here. And unusually, when we were fine-tuning this, the string broke. It's very, very, very unusual that. Certainly we guarantee this piano for 10 years because of the work we've done on it. Certainly won't break again if we replace it, so we've got to get a perfect match. And we're getting the string maker to remake it. Occasionally a string breaks for some odd reason, but percentage would be about, say, 1 in 500 that will break like that. So just a slightly faulty string, I suppose, and that's being redone as well as the piano being repolished. So let's finish off with this Rosewood Steinway 1898. It's a beautiful piano in every respect. It's been fully restored before, so we just needed reconditioning it. What we're looking for mainly is a good tone in the treble and tenor area first, and then an excellent responsive action. And then it's a bonus if the bass is good too. But down here obviously you don't play so much, but it's nice to have a rich bass. And very, very even tone throughout. Would it be better to buy a new piano or a modern piano or an older Steinway? I think for tone, you're always going to go for the older piano. For stability too, actually, strangely enough, Steinways are very, very stable in every environment. So that's not something to worry about. And I think my preference is obviously for older German pianos. They're just so well made, a lot more time and energy gone into them. But there's something really, it's probably best to come and try them both and see what you think. So thank you very much for listening.